game insight? Like, do you know how far you kind of want to go with it, and do you have thoughts on how you want things to end at some point? 20 years down the line, perhaps.
20 years.
It won't be
Well,
Team
to be honest, I'm pretty surprised. If anyone said to me a couple of years ago, could you imagine doing 80 episodes of Teen Wolf? That surprises me. So the fact that we've been able to get this far, we consider ourselves kind of a little big show. We're on a cable network that I couldn't even tell you what channel it's on. But and most of our fans watch the show on their computer. But it's surprising. Yeah, what channel do you watch here? It's not on here. So it's surprising to me that that we've gotten this far. As for an end game, not really. Tyler Posey and I always talk about how we'd love to do a movie after the seasons are done, but there's a possibility 5th season could be the last. We don't know for sure yet, but 80 episodes would be pretty good. So if it is the last, I better start planning, I guess.
We talked a little about the end, so go the other way to the beginning, how did this all kind of start? Was this a project, Jeffy, you always wanted to do, or did it kind of come your way?
It actually came my way. It was, I'd been working on pilots, get a development deal for pilots, write a pilot, see if it would go. I'd done like 3 or 4. The pilot development game can be very difficult. And I had a general meeting with MTV, and Marty Adelstein and Michael Thorne, 2 producers I was working with, said, hey, we're probably going to be attached to Teen Wolf over there. And they said, MTV will probably ask you about it. So I had a meeting with MTV, and they said, well, we've got a property, Teen Wolf, based on the Michael J. Fox movie. And I said, yeah, I loved that movie when I was a kid. But I said to them, the movie was actually a comedy to me, and not really a werewolf movie, and more of a basketball movie. And they said, that's not really how we want to do it. We want to do sexy, scary, suspenseful. So I had a movie in mind that we could use as kind of a paradigm for it, which was The Lost Boys, one of my favorite movies from the 80s, and a movie I think still holds up today. So with a little bit of inspiration from The Lost Boys and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that's how it came about, the new version. And these days, we've taken it in such a far direction. I'm not sure we have much of anything in common with Teen Wolf other than the name.
Okay, I have loads of questions now. You guys take a while to warm up, don't you? Once you get going, I'm going to go to the back. Here we go.
To Arden and Dylan, what was it like joining the cast after they'd already been together for 3 years?
Initially it was a little bit intimidating because you know, you're coming onto a show that's a family and they're very successful and good and close-knit, but it was really nice because everybody was so sweet and welcoming, and you know, I mean, it is like a big family, and we just jumped right in and just went for it, so it was good.
When I tested for the character, I got to work with Tyler Posey and Dylan O'Brien, and we had an immediate connection. We all liked the same, similar things, and we kind of felt like the same people. So we had an immediate connection there, and I knew it was going to be easy from that point on. So
Tyler and Dylan were great with little Dylan, we call him. They immediately accepted him into the fold, into the pack. Yeah. Treated him like a little brother. Posey is so happy to have Dylan on the show. He feels actually like he's got a little brother on the show. We're very, very, very lucky in that the cast is always incredibly welcoming. I remember when Max and Charlie came onto the show, the twins, who we miss very much. I was a little worried because these were the 2 first characters that we really were going to bring in and be new parts of the show, but they were friends immediately. We really are very lucky in that fact.
Okay, questions up the middle. Let me always up the middle. There we go. Couple on the end here, 1 and then 2.
Hi. So this is a question for Arden, because you're playing a really cool character. I mean, I love Kira, but the thing is, aren't you scared that she's going to get killed off to push the plot and make Scott cry or something like that? Because that's what happens with female characters.
Yes, yes. I get scared sometimes. I think season 3B, I always thought that Kira would die. I don't know why. Yeah, I always did, and I always thought, there was a point, I don't know if you remember, but I asked, is Kira evil or good? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like, I wasn't sure if Kira was good. I mean, things seemed so dark, and so I wasn't sure. And at that time, I was nervous that Kira would die. But now, I feel like Kira and Scott still have a lot to overcome and get to know of each other. And also, I mean, Scott just tried to kill Kira. So we ended season 4 with kind of a little bit of a bump there, I guess. So I hope they get a chance in season 5 to, you know, really get things going officially at one point. And then, if something happens, something happens. But that's on this guy over here. But I'm open. I mean, obviously I'd like to stay on as long as possible, and I hope Kira doesn't die. But if she does, I'm sure it'd be for a good reason.
I wouldn't kill Kira.
What?
Only thing that could cause that is a difficult contract negotiation.
Yes.
But the contract is already signed for season 5, so you're good.
Yeah, I'll be there for season 5.
I often say that Kira is the one character I can see in a spin-off. So it'd be fun to do, wouldn't it? The Yukimura family and Kira starring in her own show.
Yeah, we need like a female Buffy the Vampire Slayer type show for 2015.
I love it. We could set it in San Francisco.
Or we'll shoot it in London. How fun would that be?
Be great.
Hi. What would you most like to happen to your characters, or like what like opportunity would you like them to have the most?
Me or let's ask Dylan?
The actors. Sorry.
I think I just want to get to know my family in the show, like make it more apparent what my family's life is like and my past, I guess. A little bit. We got to learn a little bit about my past and my anger issues, but I think to kind of go deeper into that, how me and Mason, played by Kylan, are friends and how we came to know each other and stuff like that.
We actually had planned to get to know Dylan's, Liam's parents a lot better. But what happened was the actor playing his stepfather got a movie actually with Colton Haynes in it. And it was, what is it called? It's an earthquake movie. So when they get movies, and we haven't locked them down for a certain number of episodes, it gets very difficult to schedule them. So we had to plan for a certain number of episodes, and we had to shorten it. So we're hoping we get to have it more next season. What about you, Kira? I mean, Arden.
Kira. I hope Kira gets to just really explore her powers and maybe even do the whole shape-shifting thing. We were just chatting about that earlier today. Or just something, I feel like there's still so much for Kira to discover with her powers. And a lot of it's so unknown, and I think we have a lot of options, so we'll see. And the whole double dating thing. And maybe triple dating if this one is
There's such a wide variety of powers for Kitsune. So we have to pick and choose which is appropriate to the world of Teen Wolf, and which doesn't feel a little too crazy. I know a lot of people ask you why you don't use your electricity a lot, and we kind of have this debate in the writers' room, is when do we get to the point, or are we ever going to get to the point where we see lightning bolts coming out of her fingers? And do we want to do that? Is it going to look,
I don't know, do we want to do that?
Is it going to look a little too much like Force Lightning from Star Wars?
But I think it'd be kind of cool if I
Some
could
positive responses.
We'll see. We'll see. But we like our characters. They're a little bit like The Greatest American Hero. Anybody ever remember that show? Where it took him seasons and seasons to learn his powers. So we like them to learn. Gives them a nice character arc.
Hi. Jeff, I know you like all the folklore, and that's what got you into the wolves in the first place. And I know you've been adding a lot more. What characters or future creatures are you thinking about coming into the show? And for the actors, what creatures do you want to see on the show?
Well, I'm going to hold to my rule of no vampires. We try to keep within the shapeshifter myth, but I think the Oni sort of stepped out of that rule. We do have some ideas for next season. I don't want to spoil anything though. I was saying in an interview earlier, what would be fun for me is to see the more monstrous werewolf reappear. but that's the one from the first season. But the problem with that is CGI is very expensive, and are we going to go back to trying to make a suit, which can cost $100,000? And that's just on a television budget. When you see a suit like that in the movies, they spend between $250,000 and $300,000. Or are we going to use CGI to create it and have a full CGI character? And if you get our CGI character in the first season, in many shots, I think it looked really cool. In other shots, not so cool. What did you guys think of the first season Werewolf? Did you like it?
Yeah.
It looked like a big animated CGI creature. So, and even in something as like a show as great as Doctor Who, you can see where their CGI has gotten so much better throughout the years. So we'll see. What do you guys think? What kind of creatures would you like to see? Do not say vampires.
I don't know, I like the Berserkers because they were so big and scary.
I like the Berserkers too.
Yeah, like I really liked that chain fight that Kara got to do. I thought that was exciting, which was really scary, by the way, because the light bulbs, I don't know if you know, but every time we were swinging them, we'd like hit them and they'd pop.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Because that chain, have you guys seen that episode?
Yeah.
I was there for a tiny bit of that shooting, but I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, so that chain is really heavy, and it's a big chain, and when I'm swinging it around, I mean, I have to like loop it through, and I'm going through that like area with all the light bulbs, but it was like it was whacking them and they would shatter. I was like, oh my god, it's so scary. But it was fun fighting the Berserker, and we had a fun fight with the Berserker too.
What about you? What kind of monsters? Do you like monsters?
I'm not saying vampires like Twilight vampires, but I thought it would be cool for like some kind of Van Helsing, like really big, grayish, kind of creepy monster with big wings, like a baddish creature, not
like you mean like the one in Coppola's Dracula? That one was cool.
Yeah, something like that.
Something more like Nosferatu.
Yeah, well, like the werewolf from the first season too, but like a bat version.
Bat wings? Well, the Panama had wings. The version we never saw. Maybe we should do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay, more questions, guys. We have a couple over here. There we go.
You say that season 5 is the last season, which is most likely because Scott and Kira and everyone else are leaving. But then again, you've got Liam and Brett and everyone else. So could you maybe carry it on as a prequel or?
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Tyler Posey says he'd love to do as many seasons as possible. I love Tyler. He's one of the best people in the world.
Me too.
But the thing, it's all a question really of the network, whether they decide it's not too expensive to shoot the show anymore, or really whether it's worth it to them. So if people keep watching and still like the show, we'll keep doing it.
I've got a question in kind of the same vein. You guys are regularly nominated for awards all over the place, notably the Teen Choice Awards. How important are awards? I mean, are they just really nice things to have, or are they kind of really relevant when the show's getting recommissioned? Do the kind of money men look at things like that?
I probably, not really. They're good promotional tools, but mostly for that, I think. Award shows are kind of funny things. The Teen Choice is great to get, but I doubt it is considered all that much in terms of renewal. What is considered in renewal is our 12 to 34 live rating, our live +3, and now our live +7 ratings are also considered. VOD, downloads, DTO, which is download to own. All those numbers are considered. The social media presence is considered, and also how much value the product itself, the property, gives to the network. In cable, it's different. Broadcast networks in America, NBC, ABC, CBS, they rely completely on advertiser-based revenue. In cable, you're sold a package. Viacom's package in cable is Nickelodeon, VH1, Logo, Cartoon Network, and MTV. So you can't not have MTV in that package. And they get a subscriber base. So it's advertisers and subscriptions. That's what counts to them. Whereas something like HBO is purely subscription. So ratings in HBO, or a show like Boardwalk Empire, doesn't do spectacular in the ratings, particularly considering how expensive it is. But it's a property that adds value, and you can only watch it on HBO until it's available for download. It's a very complicated system these days. So it's different for cable, but there are a lot of factors that go into renewal.
Okay, let's have some more questions from the floor. I have a very impatient person up here. Stick with your arm up. There we go.
This is a question for Arden. I just wanted to say, basically Kira is pretty much one of my favorite characters on TV, and I was wondering how much input you actually personally have with both the character and how much of your own personality sort of gets to come through as you play her.
I think input in the character, I don't really have much. I mean, you know, I like how they wrote Kira a lot, and oddly enough, she's a lot like me.
Well, I can say that once we get to know the actors, we start to write for them. One of the things I love about Arden is she's pretty funny, and I knew that Arden was very good physically. So now we've started writing to that, like the fall. Her tumble down the stairs in episode 4 of last season was one of my favorite moments, actually, and she's phenomenal in it.
But that actually happens to me in real life. Like, when my friends watch the episodes, they always make fun of me because they're like, you know, your fans probably think this is all acting, but the true reality is that this is how awkward you are in real life. And like everything from like dropping the books and all the high school awkward moments, like that happens to me, and it always has happened to me. And so in a weird way, I love playing Kira because it's almost like I get to do it again, but it's okay. Because the cool thing about Kira is in real life, I was always really awkward through like middle school, high school, college, and I was really unhappy with it. But I love that with Kira, she's so strong and it doesn't really bother her. She just kind of, you know, it is what it is. Like awkward things happen and she just moves on and kind of accepts her life as it is. And so I really like that. It's very empowering and it kind of gives me a chance to, I guess, accept who I am. So.
Cool, we have a question here at the back.
When or if you go on the show, how do you want to go?
I have to be down there.
Epically.
If you die on the show?
If I die, you know what? If I die, I hope like Kira turns like evil, but it's not because she's evil. Like so she gets tricked or something crazy happens, and then if she dies, it's because it's like I don't know. She has to. I'm obviously not a writer. Fail.
How about you?
I think I want to get my head chopped off.
Wow, so gruesome.
It's a bit severe.
Yeah.
Who should kill you?
She should kill me with her sword.
He did die over and over and over again.
Wait. But then if I'm
we'll
a
see what your
kitsune, do I have
behavior's
9
like.
lives?
What's that?
Do I have 9 lives?
No, you're a fox, not a cat.
Oh. No, but wait, but I had tails. Isn't that like
9
lives?
tails.
Well, I don't know. Sorry, I'm watching a different show.
This is why she doesn't have any input. She thinks she's like God.
I think it'd be cool if I could die and then come back to life. And then die again and come back to life.
We've done a lot of coming back.
Yeah,
to life.
because
we're trying to keep that out of it.
Young Noshiko, my mom, has lived for like 900 years. So am I going to live till I'm 900?
You might.
Or only like half of that since I'm half human?
We definitely have to go beyond 5 seasons.
Okay. You guys better watch the show then.
We'll talk about the spin-off.
Okay, we're right over here in the corner now. I'm going to pass the mic over.
Hi there. Thank you, Jeff. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier at the table. It was really cool to get to know.
Oh, you're the one with the tattoo, right?
Yeah.
I can barely see you. Yeah.
I actually had a question for Arden. I've been looking into getting my stage combat license. What's it like to do most of your own stunts for everything?
Arden was going to be a stunt woman at one point.
Huh?
You were training to be a stunt woman at one point, right?
I think growing up, my dad's a grandmaster, and so I grew up training martial arts. I mean, since I could walk, really. I mean, I was sparring and doing weapons and stuff for ages and doing tournaments, and so now,
He's feeling the jet lag.
I am too. I think for a long time, especially once I started acting, my dream was to kind of do action series or like do something like an action film. And so to be on a show where I get to actively do that, I mean, it's amazing. And I learn a lot from my stunt double. Li Jing mostly doubles me, and she's phenomenal, just really, really talented. And I get really lucky that she takes the time to teach me a lot of the sword work, because the one weapon I never really learned was swords. Like, I knew how to do like bamboo and nunchucks and different sorts of weapons, but I'd never learned sword work, and so that I had to pick up on the show.
Is there a weapon you'd like to use?
Well, yeah, like I like that we got to do nunchucks, which was really fun because Tim, one of the directors, asked me if there was a weapon I knew how to use in 3B, and I mentioned I knew how to use nunchucks, and then we had nunchucks on 401.
You know who else knows how to use them? Is Seth Gilliam.
What?
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Dr. Deaton, our veterinarian, knows how to use nunchucks. So.
Wait, but I got totally distracted. I don't know if I answered the question.
That answer it?
Was that okay?
Yeah, I think that was fine.
I don't know if I answered the question. Gosh, I'm so bad at this.
Oh, she was asking for advice on how to get
advice. Oh wait, was that the question?
Yes. Actually, I can tell you a little bit about it. What you want to do is, you need to know stunt people. You need to look up stunt gyms. There are certain gyms in LA where stunt people train. It's a little bit of Hollywood schmoozing and Hollywood networking, but get to know them, meet them and say, how do I get into this business? Or do extra work on a show that has a lot of stunts, and introduce yourself to the stunt people and say, how do I get into this business? And I think there are stunt schools as well. I do know it's pretty tough to get into.
Yeah, it's really, really competitive. I have a lot of friends who do stunt work, and I think it's also about being very flexible and learning different styles. I know a lot of dancers who eventually became stunt actors just because they did a lot of like tricking, and even people who do, what's that thing called, parkour?
Parkour.
Yeah, like that got really popular.
Our first stunt guy we found through parkour in Atlanta. Actually, no, he was from Miami, and we flew him to Atlanta for the first 2 seasons. His name is Spider, and then he left us to go do G.I. Joe.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he's doing pretty well now.
I have a quick question for Dylan, actually. If my research is correct, you auditioned for a different part, is that right?
Yeah.
So did they just really like you last time and they kind of called you back for this when they found a better part for you? How did that work?
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. Tell them who you auditioned for.
I auditioned first for young Derek Hale.
Yeah, the part that Ian Nelson got.
Ian Nelson, yeah. And because I was a little bit too young for that part. I think I went in like four times for that.
Yeah, I watched your video. I remember I was like, because I remember watching Ian Nelson's tape doing the part, and I said, oh, he's perfect, hire him. And one of our casting people at MTV, Danny Zaccagnino, said, you gotta just watch one more tape from me. And I watched Dylan's. He said, this is the kid from Man of Steel. And I watched and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this kid's pretty good too. Bring them both in. So what we have is, what they do is it's sort of an American Idol type thing. It's a test, a network test, where they both come in and they audition in front of a table full of people. There's like 10 people. There's network executives, me sitting there.
It was weird.
Maybe another producer with me, and we're all looking for that perfect person, and hoping that the network likes them. And Ian was everyone's favorite because he was a little taller, he was a little more adult, and we knew we wanted a young Derek who was around the age of 16 or 17, I think, at that time. But I remember writing an email to Dylan's manager saying, I just want to let Dylan know that it was purely about age. He was a phenomenal actor, and we'll probably keep him in mind for something else. And it was months and months later when he got another call.
Okay, we are slowly running out of time, but I want to do one question from somebody over here who's you've had your hand up for absolutely ages. There we go. Yeah, there you go.
Who's the biggest prankster on set?
What's that? Posey?
He always pulls pranks on me, and he always scares me because I'm a big scaredy cat.
They pulled a lot more pranks in the first season when we were all in Atlanta. They would hide, like, there was this one body, just makeup body. It looked like a dead body that they would put in everybody's trailer closet. They like to prank me. They came into the writer's trailer one day. This video is up actually online in the After show where Dylan and Posey are basically molesting every piece of furniture in the writer's trailer. It's pretty disgusting, actually. They were humping the trailer.
Okay, I was going to end on that, but that's kind of an unusual question. So I'm going to go for one last question. Here we go.
Hi. So we saw at the end of the last season that Derek did a full shift into a wolf. I was wondering if that was something that the other characters could learn. And we also saw Malia in her full coyote shift as well.
Yes.
And if she was going to do that again as well.
Well, the idea behind Malia shifting into a full coyote was that it was an escape for her. She was very young when it first happened. Her family died, and it was sort of an emotional kind of breakdown for her, an escape into a full animal form. So she doesn't have control over it like Derek does. For Derek, it's reaching the pinnacle of his werewolf power. In a way, for us, Derek had to go through sort of a death in order to have a metamorphosis. It's sort of like a moth cocooning and coming out a butterfly. And that cocoon stage was him losing his powers. It was a transition. To me, it's a way to show that Derek, he may not be an alpha at that moment, but he is one of the strongest, most powerful werewolves around because he has learned to become a hero. Derek's one of my favorite characters in the show because I think we did a pretty good job at showing his transition from the first season as kind of a bad guy into a really heroic person who is ready to sacrifice his life for Scott, for Kira, for Styles, for all of the others who have put their own lives on the line for him. So I remember talking to Tyler Hecklin about it. He loved his arc in the last season. He was very happy about the way the character had come about in that kind of 180. So to answer your question, yes, it's something the other characters could definitely learn. Laura Hale was able to do it as a powerful werewolf. Talia Hale was able to do it. I'd love to bring Talia Hale back in a flashback. Alicia Coppola is such a good actor. So hopefully we'll be able to see something like that again in the future.
Guys, I'm really sorry, but we are all out of time. If you have any more questions or you just want to come back and say hi to the guys, they are back again tomorrow for another panel over in the other theatre in Theatre A. But for today, I would like to say thank you very much. Please give it up for Arden, Sprayberry and Jeff Davis. Stick around for our next panel, which will be Under the Dome, coming up very shortly.